Ladies and gentlemen, we're sorry for the late episode. There's only 3 of us this time. Baldy left us. I'm sure you guys are stoked about it. I'm just kidding. This is episode 14 of Hardpoints. This weekend coming up, we have this Seattle home series. There's a lot of changes with these teams that we need to talk about as well leading up to it. It's kind of an interesting tournament because we don't have a lot of the big dogs participating. So I think it's going to be a good test to see which of these like middle of the pack teams can sort of show out a little bit and see who can dominate and impress, because there's like a lot of teams I feel like are on our radar to maybe do well, and this is a tournament that would be like perfect for them to show up and have a good performance without the big dogs sort of in their way. So I'm excited to see how this tournament plays out. I hope the games remain at like a high level. I do think we're going to see the best games from teams like FaZe or Dallas or whatever, but these, again, this is the potential for these lesser teams to show up. In terms of changes though, there's a lot of stuff we need to cover. Some big changes that we expected to happen. There was like rumors going around the league of like who's going where, or this guy's going to get benched, or this and that. Finally, some of that stuff is starting to come through, and I think the biggest one we need to touch on is obviously the Huntsmen. So we saw the trade actually go through. Everything remained or got confirmed basically. Prestinni to the Huntsmen. So we gave some of our initial thoughts in previous episodes of who we thought might fit that bill of who would fit that role appropriately. And we also need to talk about, speculate a little bit of what we think is going to happen with Pierce Gunless. Like, it's one of the top talents in Call of Duty now just hanging out. So it's going to be interesting to see if they're going to try and make a move there, or based on the trade going down, it seems like it was just Prestinni got bought, right? So
yeah,
that's really smart from a business perspective. Wow.
I mean, it seems like Hector is going to help out Gunless. It sounds like they're trying to shop him around, figure out a good place for him. You know, I'm sure there's teams also that have reached out like, yeah, we're interested in Pierce, and Pierce was probably like, Hector, just sell him on some bullshit, bro. Like, I'm not going there, right? Like, honestly, because like
you don't want to go to a lesser team.
Well, and we know like Pierce is sat out. Like, he's sat out on teams before.
Right.
I mean, whether we agree with that or not, he's done it before. So why send him to a place he doesn't want to go? Plain and simple, because we know when he gets there, he's just be like, I'm good. I can play somebody else. Like, so, yeah, I think that's good for that. You know, he has Hector to help him out. It sounds like the Prestinni thing went down pretty smoothly, and you got the twins back together, and we'll it's an interesting one. Yeah, because I think when you look at Prestinni, I guess we'll jump into this. When you look at Prestinni, he should help out like Envoy. He should help out Scump. Like, I feel when you talk about him, it's speed, it's pace, the first guy in. You know, I think in Respawn, it'll be interesting because they're obviously losing some slaying power. We know they're losing some talent. You know, Alec and Matt will be super comfortable in their roles. But I think it's just around the sub dynamic. You know, Envoy's continued to get better. We probably think he's the best player on this team so far, based on what we've seen. And this should help out like him and Seth, you would imagine, just because we know the selfless player that Prestinni is.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with all that. I think that I think people with this move, I think they got better just because of like the entire situation. I think their team vibe goes up, and I think that's important. I just don't think Gunless as like an actual player on paper is ever an issue. You know what I'm saying? In the sense of like, yes, you lose a lot of slaying power. Like, you're losing one of the best Call of Duty players probably to ever play. Like, when he's at his prime, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's up there, man. And it's going to be tough, but at the same time, like, yeah, I think Chicago's main issue was just like getting on that same page. And I feel like that's the biggest thing for teams in this game, is just being on that same page. Like, I feel like even like with my own team, like, we've seen my team obviously struggle a little bit and not be on the same page and get absolutely embarrassed at the tournament we lost last. You know what I'm saying? And then like getting back on the same page and still kind of being iffy, but getting better. It's just, this game is really, really punishable if you don't play perfect and something does go wrong with squad spawns and everything. It just does, like, it can spiral out of control pretty quickly. So I think with the dynamic of having Prestinni, I think that will help them get on the same page and kind of have like a better environment, which will lead inevitably to a better team. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think it was really Gunless as like a player, you know what I'm saying? But like just as a team vibe. So I'm curious to see how they do. I don't know if they'll come out and win it right away. You know what I mean? But I think they have a very bright future. It just depends on how quickly they can get on that same page. I haven't really paid attention to too many of their scrims, but that's going to be the most important thing, is how quickly they can get on that page and then obviously improve from there. But I think they have the right foundation now to really like grow as a team from what it looks like.
For sure. And you bring in the brother chemistry, things like that.
Mhm.
I'm just very interested to see on like how fast they can come
Yeah.
through and improve, because even swapping a player like out like that, it's like when you think of like how Gunless plays, it's like I would say he's a pretty smart player. Like you would think someone like him is making smart plays on the map. So like you're losing slaying power, and Chicago has looked at one of those teams like when they're out slaying, they're going to absolutely smoke you. It's when the slaying numbers start to get a little bit more even is when you see all those issues come up. So it's like when you look, straight up trade Gunless for Prestinni, you're gonna get less kills. Like not all the time, but you're right. You're losing slaying power. We already admitted that. So yeah, I'm interested to see like how fast, or if it really was like a line drawn in the sand in the sense where they feel like they could not improve from top to bottom with Pierce on the team. I don't know.
And that's the issue. Yeah.
I think too, though. I mean, I'm sure people are going to go back and look at Pierce's last couple events. They weren't great, like
Right.
Pierce stat wise, and I think that's it. It's like I think the reason the negative vibes and stuff were there is because Pierce kind of knew he wasn't playing at the level that he expects himself to play at. The way people like us, the fans, they expect him to.
Good point.
So that brings his vibes down. That brings the team vibes down, and I think that's just what you're used to. Prestinni puts up a 0.8, and it's like, okay, like they have slaying power. Like you just know what you're gonna get from guys. People, when they saw Gunless on this team, they don't expect them to put up numbers like that. It's just plain and simple. So I think that really hurt the team dynamic. Probably affected them. It's like it's still I don't really know how that dynamic will change slaying wise, because I think the talent is there. But yeah, in like those maybe key one-on-one situations, I think we probably take Pierce in a lot of those. But
yeah,
hopefully they don't have those anymore. Like hopefully their teamwork is good enough where they don't have the key one-on-ones. That Pierce has to win or someone else has to win.
Definitely.
Yeah.
At the next event, we just need to see like better stats out of like 2 or 3 of the other players, whether it be like Seth or Envoy's stats were already good. Seth's stats were already good.
Yeah.
But I feel like they just need to take a little extra notch up. Or I don't know, maybe Prestinni could come in and drop like a 1.1 as a sub. He definitely has the capability to do that, but he's always been one of those players where he'll have a great event, maybe a lesser event, maybe a great event. Like the consistency has always been an issue with Prestinni, and that's because of his role for sure. So I wonder how he's going to slot into their system, their environment, how his play style is going to mesh with Envoy and Seth. If he's going to be like, I don't know, maybe he'll up the pace of the other 2 subs too. There's a lot that could happen with the move over to here. And then I'm sure we'll touch on more of like how it's going to affect their team. But I just want to throw out there too, like I want to give some props to Prestinni just outside of it for like taking time for himself. Like he's one of the only players that is like spoken out on his own mental health. And I feel like that takes like a certain amount of confidence to do too. Like he has took a step back, and I don't know if it was ever like totally confirmed or anything like that, but it was like he needed some time to like recollect himself a little bit. And I feel like with the amount of stress and how much is on the line, especially moving over to a league like this where it's a pretty unforgiving league, you could have one bad weekend, get knocked out of groups, and you're sitting there thinking about it for a month straight. So it's like that can take a toll on you. So I think the fact that he took his time and he has the self-awareness to realize things like that, like that's, I don't know, I feel like that's a good trait to have.
Yeah, it's important. I mean, it's like anything, right? It's like he understood the situation where if he did sit, he sat himself. His team could be unhappy with him, fine. But it's almost like if like your starting quarterback gets injured and the backup comes in, he accepted the fact that if Florida did really well with Farah, which they won an event, his spot was gone. I mean, that's just how it is. That's how it is in sports. That's just the way the world will be. And I do give him props. And this was actually something I wanted to ask you guys, because Preston, from what we've seen, especially on the outside, has been very hard on himself. TeeP, you've played with Optic. I've played with Optic. With now Chicago fans, this actually kind of does worry me. I wanted to bring this up, is that you now have one of the, if not the most outspoken esports fan base in the entire world. in a time where a guy can beat himself up. And it worries me a little bit because if that's happening and if they don't have success, there's always a scapegoat. There's someone that they point to. And unfortunately, unless someone really performs poorly, it's going to be him. What did we say it was going to be coming into this year? We said it was going to be Gunless because he had similar traits of Crim in the way he scrimmed and them streaming scrims. It was going to be obvious for fans to be like, he's arguing with him. He's arguing with him. I can obviously see this guy's a bit of an a-hole.
Yeah.
And guess what happened? That is what worries me. Like, I've already seen it in his chats. Like, it's probably people trolling, but it's like, oh, Gunless would have won that one-on-one. Like, I've been in there during scrims, and it's like, yeah, it's not a big deal. But after they lose a weekend, then what? After you lose another weekend, then what? You look at your Twitter.
Totally right.
The thing
people
is like,
attack you, bro.
You read it over. Yeah. You're like, yeah, it's not a big deal. Then you read it, you know, 50 to 100 more times. You're like, this is the moment. 100%. This is the moment when his teammates just straight up have to have his back.
That's like, honestly, because totally.
Yeah, your teammates have to stick up for you in this situation, and they have to reassure you that, like, we got you. Because the fact is, it's like he's going into the most popular team in Call of Duty. Like,
and
they hold you
wins. They hold you accountable.
And he's replacing a very talented player as well. Right. He's got big shoes to fill as well. Like, yeah, I'm not saying that Gunless was like carrying this team. By no means was he doing that. But like at the end of the day, like, you guys played COD at a professional level. Gunless not playing well at a 0.9 or whatever, you know, I don't care about his stats. But just like say he's not doing his best, he still ain't an easy kill on the map. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's still, you're still not looking at Gunless and just gunning him down and being like, oh, that was an easy one. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, he's got big shoes to fill. He's got a lot of pressure, but this is. I think he adds a lot to this team, though, regardless of stats and anything. And I think a lot of people will recognize that. And then, honestly, what you guys said about the teammates having your back is the most important thing. If you know what I'm saying, if your teammates make it very apparent that you're wanted and it's assured there, like, that also makes you feel better as a player and makes you play better. So. We'll see. I'm interested to see how it plays out.
We know like what he's supposed to do. We always know, but that's the thing. It's like, even when we know, and even when that fan base knows, they're relentless. I mean, plain and simple. Like, if they, I mean, think about what happened to Karma, right? Like,
the GOAT
just won 3 world championships.
So, some of the shit I saw people say to the GOAT, like,
like, this happens to everyone. Like, it's going to be interesting. Like, it is, because, you know, like you said, I respect him for taking the time, recognize the situation. I'm not happy. I'm not going to play at my best. Cool. You know what? I respect that. But the fact is, you know, now you're on a team where you have to win. Plain and simple. The fan base expects wins. The players expect wins. Like, even with E United last year, there was still like 100 Thieves. There was still Optic. There was still Gen G. Like, E United was a favorite, but, you know, we didn't go in every single weekend and be like, yeah, we expect them to win. That's different now. Like, you're on a team where the fan base expects you to win every single weekend. Plain and simple.
Yeah.
And like, I feel like there's always like a honeymoon period, right? Where it's a breath of fresh air. And I think the team will have his back, but like, you're totally right. What if they have 3 straight bad events? We don't know what's going to happen. This is all speculation, totally. But like, will the team completely have his back? I don't know. You know, it's tough to say. You want to give them the benefit of the doubt, but when you're not having that success, when you make a change like this, it's a big change, and you expect instant gratification with a big move like this, especially when you didn't get anything back through this trade. You straight up, like, you just bought the guy, right? You picked up another player that was on a sub spot on another team. Now Gunless is hanging out. I think this is a good transition to figure out, like, if there is a spot on another team, like, and they are trying to like facilitate a way for Pierce to play, where does he go? What team do you feel like he could come in and make a significant impact and would fit with the team's dynamic? Obviously, he has the talent. There's there's been a lot of issues, that's gone along with Gunless throughout the years. I don't know if that's where that really stems from, but looking at the teams that are maybe like right on the cusp or middle of the pack, like is there like one team in specific where you guys feel like he would go in there and they'd be like, holy shit, like they're a threat? Is there a team that sticks out for you guys?
Well, okay. Now I'm looking at like the team. So the first two that stuck out to me, I think him going to like Seattle kind of makes sense.
Yeah,
team of vets there, he could really help them out. And I think one of the things that sort of hurts them, one of the things that hurts Pierce is just sort of his team history. Like, we brought up Optic, and it's like we know him and Slasher don't have like the best history. Like maybe they could get over that, but they no, we're not getting over that. All right. So, that one's out of it. There's not a lot of team history there in Seattle, right? I think we'll have to see this weekend. But now that I'm looking at this, you guys are calling me crazy, but maybe even like in Minnesota.
That's what I was thinking.
Like, if they got a Gunless or someone who's struggling after, say they don't win this weekend or get to, they get smoked in a semi, maybe they don't get out of groups. They're in a tough group.
He's best friends with Silly.
Yeah, man.
That makes sense. I don't know.
I don't know. Like, Alex and Gatorex are probably safe. So then he's not going to take a Salt's role. So you're looking at a Seaman Silly. So that's my thing. Yeah, it's like, I kind of looked at, he's best friends with Silly. In my mind, I was like, well, he might take Silly's spot.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. But it makes sense because just Asim and Gunless are very different play styles. Asim, I see my thing for Asim, and obviously he's a friend of mine, but like Asim's numbers to me obviously are a little bit like up and down, but like the way he plays for that team and the routes that he takes and how fast he is, like he does a lot more than what numbers speak.
No,
he's kind of like a
Prestinni role.
Yeah, he's literally a Prestinni. He's like the BZ, you know what I'm saying? Like you go down that route, like those players, no matter what the hell they drop, are so much more important than people think or people know. And you know what I'm saying? And like those players make or break a team. Like every team needs that player to win, in my opinion. So like, I mean, yeah, that could be a thing where he might obviously take Silly's spot if they don't do well, depending on how the Rocker bounce back from their last performance. So yeah, it's curious. Or like, now I was gonna say like they could hold him, but Hector's just not that kind of guy. Like you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think that's gonna happen. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
On the other side of that coin, though, it's like, do you want Pierce to go somewhere else, dude?
No, I don't want to play against Pierce.
Exactly, and especially like with the circumstances, I'm sure he's not
motivated. Pierce,
right? Like, from what we've heard him say, like they weren't. I mean, we already had this conversation, sort of like the whole process of people getting dropped. There's not enough transparency, yada yada yada. We covered that on previous episodes. We don't need to go into that. He'd probably be fired the fuck up to play against like a Chicago, if it comes down to that scenario later in the season, if it does end up happening. But yeah, my same thought was like a Minnesota, where I don't want to take anything away from what Minnesota has done so far. They've been great. They've sort of set the precedent for what teamwork is like looked like. However, you slot in someone like him, then it's like, oh shit, like that might be that little extra jump they need to be in the final multiple times in a row. And then on the Surge side, it's like they've been so average. I guess you have to say below average. Where a player like him, it's like you just need some muscle on the map more than Octane, right? So it's like maybe it could work. I don't know. Gonna be.
It's actually funny because when we talked about this, I just saw a tweet. It says it's like Intel Call of Duty. A hold shift. He says an anonymous person came into his emails and said Gunless is going to Optic after this weekend. This person has been correct all week so far. So I don't know. Maybe that's still an option.
If they get, I mean, the thing with Optic though is like I don't think Slasher and Gunless would get over it, and I don't think even if they do make a move like that, it would end up working in the long run.
You think it'll be like short term?
But like Optic is in a really rough spot in the sense. I know they just got second, but I'm saying like they've been all over the place this entire year. Slasher and Gunless, when they're not at each other's necks, we've seen that already. How good they were. You know what I'm saying? Like so, it's like. Maybe they do get over it. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they say like, yeah, let's stop being idiots and let's run this shit. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's definitely a thing. Like I don't know, but that would be a good team. Like if you were asking me, like no personality, no friendship, no vibe. You know what I'm saying? Player to player. Come on, bro. That team's deadly. You know what I'm saying? But like,
crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh shit. Yeah, it's very, very crazy. We'll see.
That'd be wild. crazy to speculate on. I'm excited. I like these changes, man. I didn't think it happened with the Huntsmen, but here we are. Moving on forward now, we talked a lot about Zero when he got put in the situation that the subliners put him in, getting benched over there. And now we see him moving over to London. I don't know if this is going to make a significant impact. That was when I saw this, I was like super happy for Trey. However, is that going to get them over this hump at all? It might not. I wasn't super like inspired by it though. What were your guys' thoughts when you read this news?
Honestly, to me it was okay. Why wasn't this like I don't know how like Troy got to New York or whatnot, but like when we talked about like if you had to build a really solid London team that could compete for titles, I think Zero was on my roster. So it just is like, all right, now we're here. It feels like for London, it's like we're starting over a little bit. It's in for Jerd. And I think people on the outside, I think everyone has a lot of respect for Jerd. But the fact is guy has not just performed to a level. Not only this year, it's been like the last year or two. Like it's just what it's been. He has been on the decline.
I thought he was gonna have a better BO4 year personally. He wasn't
agreed.
He wasn't bad.
He started off hot.
Yeah, he started off hot, but like the rest of the year, it's like I feel like that was a game that should have been like he should have been a fucking like not quite Dylan level, but better than what we saw.
Yeah. I just think we know that Jerd is like the Prestinni role, right? Like what we just talked about. It seemed first guy in, like very aggressive. I think what just makes me a little bit scared is the pacing of this team now. Who's your fastest guy? It's probably Dylan. Now. Who hasn't? Yeah, and that's your star. Like, which it could work out. It's almost like the TJ thing with Optic. Like, if he's playing well, if your entry guy has a 1.0, like that's fantastic. Like that is absolutely phenomenal. So, I mean, the talent it's there. We all thought Zero should be on a lead team. He is now. Is this the formula that works? You still have Nasty on the bench. Is he going to be coming in for Shawnee? It just feels like the London team is still trying to figure out. It's almost like a mini Toronto in a way. Like they're just rotating players in, trying to figure out what's working, what's going to work best. They haven't found that formula yet. I know how dangerous this team can be. It's just, can they win? And I don't think so yet. And that's always the same answer. And it's not a good answer, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, I think like Trey will add a little bit more consistency if like he is. So to be real, Trey also didn't play very well in New York. But I think that New York situation put Trey in the spot where like we talked about it. And like, obviously we're going to talk about Enable coming up soon. Like these players kind of got a reality check. Like, hey, you can be fucking dropped and sat on the bench and do nothing. You know what I'm saying?
There's a lot of talent on the outside, right?
When you get hit in the face with that's like getting punched in the mouth. You know what I'm saying? You're like, oh shit. Like, all right. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm never letting that happen again. And when you get a second chance in this situation, in my opinion, I feel like for a lot of competitors and people in general, just even like in life, like you get that second chance, man, you remember it. You know what I'm saying? And like, this is going to be like a very motivated Zero, like a much different New York Zero than we saw. So I think he will add more consistency if like he obviously plays to his potential and does well. And maybe he even brings in a little bit more leadership and helps him get in line. Like I think London's always had the talent. I just think it's kind of getting like that system for them to make things work. And then those like nitty gritty situations, like those close maps, they just weren't really closing them out. And I think this could actually help them in the long run, depending on how they get along and stuff. I don't really know like their background, but like with friendships and all and like vibe. But yeah, I think if Trey is motivated, you know what I'm saying, then he does what we know Trey can do, then I think they're in a good spot.
Yeah, it's just like we've seen the sort of formula and the pace that the really good teams are able to play at. Can London do it? Can they be that fast, or will it not matter? Will that consistency like shine through enough to where they are? I don't know. I feel like just on paper, a player like Trey should really help out their Dom and S&D. Hardpoint's a little bit different, I would say. You need be a little bit more, faster in that mode. I don't know. I think it's a good move, right? Jerd was it wasn't super phenomenal. He wasn't doing great. I don't know. I just don't think this is enough for me where I'm like, yeah, I'm expecting London to make it to the final.
Well, yeah, it just comes down to the fact, like, is Shawnee the right fit, right? Is that the fifth you want? Like, should it be Jerd for Shawnee? Like, maybe it will be. Maybe we'll see that iteration of it, right? Right? It's one of those things. Maybe it's nasty. Again, to me, it's just like, okay, we're trying to find the right pieces. We have Trey now, but we're still looking for that fifth piece. It almost looks like when we're talking about Optic, we all know, like, is it Chino? Is that really their fifth? It's tough for us to say, like, yes, it is. Like, when we know people like Gunless are out there. Like,
wait, what if the like Optic comes out though and gets like second again or like first?
Yeah, or wins. Then
seriously,
I don't think you change. No, I don't think you change.
Right? You can at that point, but we'll see.
We'll see if that happens.
Yeah.
A good first run for them, but yeah, it's just
I think the players on the team would just say fuck it and do it anyway.
Yeah, really? No, seriously.
Yeah. I think they would.
You're right.
They seem like those type. Like, it's like, oh, we're doing this right now. Like, what
I would say, well, there's always the other side of the argument. Like, all right, we're doing this right now, but how can we be better?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
but
everyone wants to.
Can we do this in 3 months when we play for $2 million, which we'll get to?
That's another big thing too. Like, these tournaments are important for placings and seedings. We talk about how important these events are. They are. They really are. But what's really important is that is the $2 million on the line when like it actually all matters at the end. So that's a very valid point too. Like,
I mean, we've seen that with Rise,
right?
Yeah, we saw that with Rise in World War II.
Don't peak too early. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to peak too early.
No.
Okay. Enable. He's back in the starting lineup for Seattle. Back in for Pander. Little switch back. The Pander, I guess it wasn't really an experiment, but the Pander move didn't do what they wanted it to do. They didn't have any sort of phenomenal performances. Did things really end up being that much different from when they had Enable to begin with? Not really. Is that Pander's fault? I don't personally think so. I think he had like some bad maps here or there, but like I wouldn't say he was bad by any means.
He played his part.
What this looks like to me is the players wanted to trade and they weren't able to. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't have enough information, but just outsider looking in, I'm not involved as I used to be with the players and having like, more information. But from the outside looking in, I'm saying, wow, the team's not happy. They wanted to make a change. Here's the only thing they could have done. You guys agree or disagree with me?
I don't know. I don't think you're. I mean, I don't think you're crazy for saying that.
Yeah.
I don't really have inside information.
I could be wrong
on
as
them
hell.
Either. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think your take is like a hot take. It's like, whoa, you know what I'm saying? That's not out of left field. But I don't know. I mean, we kind of talked about this, and Abel like even like said it like on the podcast, and he like came out and said openly like he was kind of dicking around and not really doing what he should be doing. You know what I mean? Like, and I think it's like the Trey Zero situation. I know how good Enable can be, and I think they all know how the reason why he got picked up on the team in the first place. You know what I'm saying? Like, what he's capable of and how good of a teammate he can be, and what he brings to the team. That's what I'm saying. What he brings to every team he's on when he's not being an idiot. And that's what it is. He came out and said that. You know what I'm saying? That's not like those are his words. Like, he was being an idiot. So like, I think this is like their second chance to him. Like, yeah, maybe they wanted to trade it and maybe they didn't get who they wanted. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that could be a thing. But I think this is like the second chance for him to be like, hey, like, all right, like we benched you. Like, it didn't work out with our other player. Like, we're in like it's kind of a tough spot. We want you back, but like we want like you back. You know what I'm saying? We want the Enable we picked up at the beginning of the year for what you bring to the team and stuff. And I'm sure they had to talk about like, yeah, like that was on me and that's not going to happen again. And I guess we'll see where this team goes from there. Like, if this team still continues to struggle, but Enable proves his spot, because obviously we saw when they replaced Enable with someone else, like they still weren't obviously a stellar team at the time. Like, maybe someone else it would not put, like, you know what I'm saying? Maybe it's not just on Enable spot. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it's other people too. And I think if I'm talking selfishly for Enable right now and just like as a player and like worrying about his own back, like this is the time to solidify your spot in the CDL now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, the next time your team doesn't do good, don't let it be on you. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you put 110 into every practice, everything, 10s, every single thing you do, be a good teammate, be a good friend to your teammates, because when that decision comes around the next time, unless your team starts winning every event, which is, as of now, it doesn't look like they're going to. Like, this is when you're like, all right, like I'm here, and you guys dropped me the first time. It didn't do shit. Like, maybe it's not me. You know what I'm saying? So like, we'll see. Like, I really want to see the enable I got at the end of 100 Thieves last year, because that was the enable that was calling me on the side and saying like, yo, let's work on the fucking game. Like let's get into the lab and work. You know what I'm saying? And like, he was doing it. So like, I think if they get that enable, I think they're gonna get better. I don't know if they'll start this winning back-to-back events and stuff, but I think they're gonna get a lot better, and I think that's a good start for them.
I mean, I gotta say, go ahead, Joe.
No, I was just gonna say I don't like. Again, a lot of these teams, they're taking risks and they're going for young talent. And I think like Seattle knew the type of player they were getting with Pander. I just think they took the easy route of, we have this player on the bench, let's give him a shot and try to switch it up. Right. Like, and he didn't turn into a superstar, which again, he wasn't expected to, because Pander's been around for a good amount of time.
Yeah.
Like we kind of knew a good amount about him. We know the type of player he was. And the fact is when he stepped in, you didn't get other players stepping up. And I just think they sort of kind of looked and were like, well, what do we do now? And maybe it's we go back to enable and we try to find some more respawn consistency. I mean, you look at their stats overall for the year. You have Octane who's positive. Everyone else is below, is negative. Like, honestly, like you're still not getting enough from your karma, from your apathy, like plain and simple. Heck, even Slack from earlier. I mean, Slack's been playing better, and Apathy played better the last home series. Like, it feels like it's starting to go their way. Like, based on some recent results, it feels like they're starting to figure it out. And maybe there's some motivation, because I can very much see, and I know for a fact this was 100% one of the teams when you look at this roster that they started playing this game and they're like, the hell is this? What are these squad spawns? This goes against everything I've ever known in Call of Duty ever. Like, honestly, it really is. And they just effed it. They said, you know what? Not doing it. And now they're at this point where jobs are on the line. It's a little bit different now. You're 4 or 5 months in. People are expecting results. So I just think I don't think it's a good thing. It's not a good attribute to have, but I'm going to give them that was probably it. Like, they probably weren't giving the amount of effort that they should have been from the start, even with enable. And I think he recognized that.
Yeah. And no, I mean, to add to your point too, like, a lot of young talent in this game, and like people talk about young talent, and I'm a huge advocate for like young talent that goes hard, the grind mentality and everything. Like, I've always had that like mindset for a lot of young players. But usually another thing that separates a young player from like an older veteran player is not like the actual talent. It's the motivation to adapt to what is given to you. And I mean, listen, if you like those players on Seattle, like, they're some of the most established Call of Duty players of all time. Like, they've all had some fucking stellar careers, and then you throw squad spawns at them.
You any of those guys are tires, and we're like, you had a hell of a career, bro. Like,
that's what I'm saying. Like, like you throw those guys there, and they're incredible. So, and then you threw some squad spawns and an MP5 at them, and they were like, "Fuck is this shit?" You know what I'm saying? And at first, it's kind of like, I'm not doing this. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't love it, and you're not gonna try and do it. But then, like, you get the motivation. Where it's like, well, you might lose your job here soon if you don't start. And then it's like, oh, well, all right, it's time to learn. And like, once again, I would never second guess Apathy, Slacked, Karma, like, I can go down the whole list of their amazing roster in the sense of like their careers, like, to not adapt when they want to. So they've been slowly getting there, and to give Seattle fans obviously hope, in my opinion, like, I mean, Apathy always starts slow.
Yep.
He does. That's just what it is. That's just what Apathy does.
But he played really well last home series.
And that's what I'm saying. And I think Apathy always catches on fire as he learns as the year goes on. He gets better and better and better, in my opinion. And I think he always plays really well towards those like champs like times, like at the end of the year. So I think you start getting more performances out of Apathy, and then Enable doesn't bring the half-ass energy he did in the beginning of the game. I think we're looking at a different Seattle team. You know what I'm saying? Do I think they're going to be some dominant roster? Probably not yet, but they have so much room. I mean, with this roster to obviously hit their potential, where things would be looking up, in my opinion.
I just think we coming into this year, we thought they were going to be a team. We didn't think they were going to win much, maybe not at all, but we thought they were going to compete. Like I just thought with 12 to 15 events or however many it is, like I thought they would probably get to a few semifinals, maybe a final, maybe win a final, maybe multiple finals. Like I thought these were the guys that would put it together for like a weekend or 2 weekends and just get it done. They've done it in the past. So, and maybe now I still think they can get to that point. So, I mean, I'm happy for Enable and maybe that's all they needed. Was a little bit of time, a little bit of, just what is it like fire under their asses and maybe they can get it going. I mean, we'll get into this weekend, but this is like we talked about or like you said at the top of the show, this is a very good tournament for a lot of these middle of the pack, bottom of the pack teams.
If there's a time to do it, it's now.
Like I don't think there's another event like this. I think the rest are pretty like the Minnesota event after that has the best teams in the world, all of them.
Yeah,
literally all of them, and it doesn't get like Paris has Dallas and FaZe. Like you're not going to see one like this with a wounded Chicago because they just made a roster change, and the rest of these teams, it's not going to happen.
Enable's just like a motivated Enable, I'll say. He's one of those guys where it's like going into later year 2 where you need a big time performance. Like he's been one of those guys like that's been able to do it. He's had his multiple bad SMDs. That was a meme for a little while, right? But like when you look back to his successes, like he contributed a lot to going back to like the 100T roster, going back to
he's had some big game 5s,
going back to the TK roster when they were doing their thing. You know what I'm saying? Like he's always been one of those guys like. When you slot him back into the roster and we go into a game 4 hardpoint and they're down 1-2, it's like I'm trusting Enable to put up something more than I do Pander. And I don't know, I'm not trying to take any shots at Pander or anything, but you look at history, you look at what Enable's been able to do on all the different rosters he's been on. And the guy, his placements don't fucking lie, man. You got to give it to the guy. So it's like, I think this is the right move given their situation. I hope to see, the Seattle we all kind of hoped and prayed for and thought we were going to see at the beginning of the year. This tournament needs to be it, but I don't know, the group, they should be able to make it out, you would think, right? You have the Gorillas, right? We saw it with Seattle.
Their stomping ground. Yeah.
They've been taking advantage of the Gorillas for their points. London just made a move. New York looks pretty damn nasty. Anyways, I don't want to get into the groups just yet. First, I want to talk about sort of like the mid-season update. There's a lot of different things that we need to talk about that basically just gave some transparency to the community. Basically, like the champs prize pool breakdown, how the bracket's going to be working with the seeding and everything like that. It really puts an emphasis on seeding. I don't know if one of you guys want to break down what that seeding actually means and why these home series tournaments are so damn important. Because first off, the champs prize pool is insane, bro. Absolutely
2
insane.
million.
2 million for first. 400K each, dude. I read that shit. I'm like, why? I might need to play again. I'm not gonna play again.
Yeah.
But no, but just looking at those numbers,
you're doing
man,
all right.
yeah, we're doing okay. But for real, like this prize pool is insane. Sort of the prize breakdown. I like that. I like that the last place teams don't get shit.
Yeah, there were some people like, that shouldn't be a thing. It's like
what?
Okay, so and I'll talk on this. It's different if this was not a franchise league.
Yeah,
like honestly, it's a little bit different. Like the salaries, like at the end of the day, this extra prize money is extra. There could be a day when there's like the prize money shouldn't hardly be talked about, right? Like it's just about the league and winning. Like we're still at the point, we're still a very young sport where we're talking about this prize money. There are some games like I think league you don't hear the prize money ever. Like you watch
it's
that
like
game, you don't know how much the Super Bowl winners get if they win. Like there's a bonus, of course, to it, like in their contracts and whatever. But like they get $0. Yeah, you get last. Yeah, and honestly, the other teams should be happy
getting rewarded for last place.
Yeah.
Like,
and so I don't know. I'm with it. So that stuff to me, like I get it. Like last year, if you want to pay out to the top 16, there's some amateur teams. Like you get out of groups. I think sure, with like how long the year is, but this is it's a little bit different. But into the bracket, so the change was made. All 12 teams will be there. I think that was just a pivot with the online thing. They knew.
Yeah.
I think the league just knew that this is it's tough for everyone. And so they're like, all right, so here's where we will meet you in the middle is you'll be a champ. So 9 through 12, you'll start in losers round 1. So you still have a chance to really make a run, but it will have to be a hell of a run. And then what the difference is for like top 2, if you get first and second, you're automatically in the round 3 of the winners bracket. So I think you have to win like 9 maps after 3 series.
3 series.
Crazy.
Yeah.
To win champs. So you have to win 9 maps. Yeah.
That's
But
a
you are
massive
cold.
advantage.
But you are cold. You go into those series
Yeah.
very, very cold. Clay did bring up a good point. Am I saying you don't want those seeds? No. Obviously, you want 3 series better than whatever, obviously, but it is tough.
So I will say what we always tried to do, and I think with now that there's less teams, you can work the schedule a little bit better. I don't know how many days it's going to be, but like the goal should be is that before like first and second, like winners round 3 should be the first matches of the day, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Right. So that
like
you don't have that thing. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, that's sort of
it definitely can't
when we
be
talk
like
about like when we talk about like being cold, it's just getting in that tournament mode. And like yes, they're still practicing and scrimming against pro teams, but like that intensity, that adrenaline, it doesn't start sometimes until like you're 1 or 2 maps into a series. And if you're 1 and 2 maps into the series, you might be down 0-2.
Yeah.
And at that point, you're just sort of looking at your teammates like, shit, we gotta wake up.
Yeah.
So I think that's what we're talking about.
I feel like people don't really understand that unless they've done it. Like coming in cold and playing a team that's like hot off a 3-0 or something like that, and they're cruising.
There is a momentum.
That's hard. That shit's so hard.
That's definitely a thing. And you also fall into like, I mean, you guys can probably attest to this. Like, how many times have you gone to a tournament where like one of your weaker maps, all of a sudden you fall into a groove in it? Yeah. And all of a sudden you're not losing it. You know what I'm saying? And like it's just like something that like something clicks on that weekend and you're just going 2-0, 3-0, 4-0, 5-0, and all of a sudden your Ardennis 4 is Hardpoint, and like in World War II is 7-0. You're like, what the hell just happened? Like that is a tournament thing too, where like in scrims you just weren't doing it, and then all of a sudden it clicks, and like you don't have those tournament reps. Obviously it's hard, but still I would take that placing over anything. But just really quick to go back to your point, everyone qualifies for champs.
Yeah.
So like I feel like that even makes it more acceptable, the fact that last place doesn't get anything. Like the fact that you get a chance to play at champs
before, like, you didn't even show up.
Well, you just I mean, I still think it's even crazy that the last place teams get a chance. I know
even for online.
Don't disagree.
Yes, even for online.
Okay.
Just because
I think, like not even like even like bottom 2, but I don't know. Like we're at the point. I don't know. Like we could get into it. Like. But let's say the season ended tomorrow and Gorillas has 20 points. Like, do you think they should
be there?
Right.
No.
That's what I'm saying.
Absolutely not.
The other issue is though, is we get to the point where you have 3 teams at 40 points, and I don't want to get into all that stuff. But that would be if it ended tomorrow.
That is true. That's not like obviously like just black and white right then and there. You know what I'm saying? Like it's very there's the gray area. I know, but I'm saying like like I just feel like we're in like a professional franchise league here. Like last place, like come on. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's definitely the competitiveness of that. Like, I feel like we're just like rewarding everyone for just like participating. Yeah, and I feel like that mindset also kills, because at the end of the day too, like during these regular seasons, like yes, being last place does hurt you a lot in seeds. I'm not saying that, but at the end of the day, you can make anything goddamn happen in the tournament, and you know how that goes in COD. So it's like this regular season, like it should mean something more than that, in my opinion. I just don't think you should be able to nonchalantly suck all season and then go and then have a chance. I feel like
don't disagree.
Like a last seed potentially
like,
winning.
I don't know.
I
feel like
it's even hard for us as like commentators. I'll be honest. Like how do I sell this? We're selling the story. We're telling the story. Like, and the good thing is like these are all tournaments, the home series. But what if they weren't? What if they were just regular matches?
Yeah.
Like I don't know.
What's on the line? What's on the line? That's really it. Like the good thing is these are like mini tournaments, but if they weren't, if they're just regular matches and everybody qualified, it's like, well,
what's the point?
Yeah.
What's the story we're telling here? Which I guess it would be around the bracket, and we would really try to sell that. It's just that's tough to do. It's not like all right, it's like the last game of a regular season. If this team beats this team, these guys are eliminated. If this team ties or wins, they're in. Like there's not that story to it. But I guess that's just around the pivot.
Yeah. And I think I'm not even saying like that whole mindset's like stupid or I like have some strong opinion against it. I'm just saying in the sense of like complaining about last place gets nothing. Like the fact that you're even there. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, come on. Like I just feel like that's just silly to even start complaining about my opinion.
Well, it's happened before. I mean, I think I was in losers 1 and got to a final.
Wait,
what?
What did we
What?
we
Yeah,
did a
what'd you guys?
crazy ass
Losers 1 or 2?
losers won. We got smoked by LG and then we found ourselves in the final. Like that's what I'm
It's
saying. Like
possible.
anything can happen in COD, man. Like the last event I won in my career, losers won. I won that shit. Like we were not the best team there. You know what I'm saying? Like obviously we qualified for playoffs, so we deserve to be there. But like all it takes is like EG won champs. They didn't qualify for season 2 playoffs, but they were at champs. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just like you never know what happens. And now I'm not saying they got last place and they didn't deserve to be at that champs. They did qualify and shit, but I'm saying like in general. Like anything can happen. So it's like the fact that you even have that chance, I feel like the complaint about no last place is just silly.
Definitely. So we covered the prize breakdown a little bit. We covered the bracket and the massive, well, mostly advantage you get, the buys basically for seeding if you end up getting a top seeding. And another big one, drops. Thank God. Potential drops for watching the damn CDL. Thank you. Thank you. Give me some cool shit in game. Let me slap on a Warzone skin. Let me throw something cool on my guns or something or characters. Thank you. How long are we waiting for this shit? For a long ass time. Thank you.
Forever.
I hope they're cool. Make them make them decent. So people feel the incentive. But because we look at our viewership and we've compared it to other games over the years, and they have drops, and these games that don't have nearly the same community as I'm not going to name any sort of names, not going there. However, it's just it's one thing that we've always been missing, and it sucks. It's tough to compare viewership when you don't have these same viewership incentives. So I'm excited to see how it affects it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a start. I don't think just looking at these calling cards, I think they're cool, but are they going to drive not only our fans, but it's the casual fan base that we're really looking. It's team emblems, sprays, and animated calling cards. I'm not sure what they look like. They look pretty dope. It's a start though, right? It's a step one. I agree. I think at the end of the day, listen, you watch Counter-Strike, you guys are big Counter-Strike fans. They have, they have drops for their majors, and you open the drop and there's a chance you get a freaking, depending on the map, one of the coolest skins that has a player signature, and it's worth, I'm not saying it's gonna be worth thousands of dollars because we're on, COD, but it's something that you could have that someone else can't have, right? That's
the exclusive.
That's the point. It's exclusive stuff. So hopefully we can get to that point. That would be amazing. But it's a start because we've been waiting for this for a really freaking long time,
bro.
We've
doing this a long time. Jesus.
A long time. And it's one of those things that there's a lot of discussions of how do you drive more people here? How do you do it? How do you do it? And it felt like we were trying to skip over the simple things that other games, successful games were doing that we weren't. Whether it's this, whether it's
people love free shit.
People love free shit, and whether it's more prize money. What is that thing? Crowdfunding, right? There's all these hey, this works. We should try this, and we just haven't. And I'm just let's do that, please. So hopefully this is the start for more. I mean, I'm happy we have this, but I would love to see it evolve into something, a freaking Chicago skin that is highlighted that has a Scumpy signature. I don't know, but hopefully that'd be dope.
Yeah. I mean, the potential's there. We've been talking about it for so damn long. It's a start. It's gotta, I hope it helps first off. And I hope they continue to innovate because I feel like it's a relatively simple idea that we've seen work. And as long as there's exclusive stuff there, people are going to leave. It's going to boost viewership. It's just simple. It's just that simple. Last thing to cover with the midseason update is the potential for like map and mode changes. I read that. I'm like, what's the date? Okay, it's too late. Who cares? Like, you think any of the pros are gonna really try and make a push now? It's May. It's almost it's almost June. No one's gonna. The pros aren't gonna change the modes now. No shot. Everyone's too like people. These pros don't even have a lot of time on each game. For Christ's sake, you think they're gonna change mid-season a whole mode? No way. I thought
it was more of just adding a third search or hardpoint.
Yeah,
but it's almost like with that, it's I don't know. I think Maven and I like really discussed it. It's like, I mean, if you're a good Dom team, do you want to give another good team, like good hardpoint team, another hardpoint? Like, it's just sort of that's always been the balance of the third mode. It's that it does, I don't know, it adds some variety. It adds, teams who might have a weak search, to be a really good uplane team. I don't know. I've always felt like that third game mode has always had I don't know, like a nice balancing across the board.
I love the variety.
If that makes sense.
Dom sucks though.
It does. I just think if there was a viable third game mode, it would have been done.
Yeah,
I do. I think even at this point, it would have been done. I just think teams don't want to make stronger search teams better, and teams don't want to make stronger hardpoint teams better. And I'm sure the veto system would have probably been even more messed up than what it was.
Listen, man. We wish a lot of things would have been different with competitive for this game. We'll just leave it at that. I think a lot of people are just looking forward to see what's coming up for the future. I'm gonna leave it right there.
Yep.
Okay, we're gonna move on to the tournament coming up. Seattle home series. First, I'm throwing up the groups. Boom. Let's talk about them. So for Group A, as you guys can see, there's a graphic on your screen, but some of the big boy teams aren't there. I don't see a FaZe there. I don't see a Dallas there. I don't see a Chicago there. It's crazy. Oh my God, who's going to come in and dominate with some of the big boys gone? Group A, London versus the Gorillas in round one, up top there. Down below in Group A, we have Seattle versus New York. I'm really looking forward to see how that matchup plays out. I think that's going to be a potentially spicy one. Paris, Chicago on the other side for Group B, up top in the bracket. And then I'm dumb. I didn't see Chicago, so I hold. There's a big boy. But,
I think you meant Dallas. Dallas.
Yeah, I said, but you guys understand my point.
I know what you meant. Yeah,
my bad. It's late, dude. Minnesota versus OGLA at the bottom. Another one I'm looking forward to. I think, the bottom matches in each group I think are going to be potentially.
They're good ones.
Spicy, very very spicy.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna go straight to the prediction of like who gets out of the group, because like those are all good matches and like that's cool and all, but I feel like I think I have New York and London are in the same group, right? And the top one, yeah, I think it's New York and London easy. I think I'm giving. I feel like I've done this a few times now, but I really do think London. Like this is like it's kind of what we said about Seattle. Like this is like the time to prove it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like this is the tournament to do it right now. If you go back through London's track record, I'm pretty sure we talked about it a little bit. Would they play us like 7 times, and like Chicago and Dallas? You know what I'm saying? Like they've had very very tough matches. I think this is where they can kind of step up. And if they don't have anything, like I know like there's like they even said like the series with us kind of affected them with the whole map thing, and they like kind of threw off their vibe for the tournament. I think with the new roster, I think they've been playing pretty well in scrims. I think this is their time to step up. And then I think New York, I mean, I'm a huge New York fan. I wouldn't be surprised if New York's in this finals, or if they were to win this event, obviously the way they're playing, depending on how Chicago comes out. So I think that for sure. And then I'm going to go down to Group B and get my predictions out now. It's late and I'm tired. But I think I'm going to give OGLA the benefit of the doubt. I think they run with the momentum. I think Kenny is in his swing of things. I think Dashy with the sub is playing well. Slasher, come on, he's one of the best ARs when he's doing his thing. TJ's obviously playing better, and then Chino's bringing the vibes and doing his thing too. And honestly, Chino didn't have a lot of time to prepare for last event, and he did all right. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Now he's got made. If Chino's gotten better and those guys stay on their caliber of play, like why not? You know what I'm saying? Like why not keep doing it? And then I think Chicago, obviously. I think so. I think Chicago and LA make it out of it. I think Seattle have a chance, obviously. I think Minnesota coming off the last event. I think they obviously are still a great team. I don't know how they're going to come off the last event. I'm curious to see how they bounce back. I don't think either of those teams are like out of it for sure, but I'm definitely going Chicago. And then I'm going to say if LA rolls with the momentum, those are my 4 teams.
All right. Group A, I'm going the same. I'm going London, New York. Round 1 matchups are really important for me, and that's why I'm not taking Seattle. I think they lose first round. And I think it's time for London to prove themselves. And I have to see more from Seattle. I feel like I've seen glimpses of London. And Seattle is getting better, but I'm going London. I agree with Chris. I mean, it's about that time where they get to another semifinal. And I think Seattle gets closer, and maybe next time around they're able to get out. But just still, I need to see a little bit more. But I'm going to go London and New York. I like what I've been seeing from New York. It feels like they're getting better. Hopefully, their search is cleaned up a little bit. I think that's really the only like weakness we've talked about, right? Like even Doms at times, but it seems like they're getting better. They're on the right track. Group B, it's a tough one. Chicago is easy for me. I'm going to take them, but Minnesota and Optic. I have trust issues now with both. Because Optic's given me one good weekend and I really want to buy in. Minnesota has given me one bad weekend and I'm like, yeah, they're done. But I know that's probably really stupid. Right? Like they've been one of the most consistent teams all year, but it just feels like things are changing a little bit. So I'm gonna go Chicago Optic as well. I don't think Minnesota gets out. I think they lose round 1, and I think that puts them in a really tough spot. So round 1 matchups are like key for me. So enough. I'm gonna go Chicago and Optic.
Well thought out.
It's a tough one, man. It's tough, dude.
Tough one. I like I'm like on my picks because now I feel confident because Joe's smart.
Yeah, you guys just back each other.
I'm happy with that. Hey, like if Joe's on my side, I feel confident.
Yeah, I'm not getting peer pressured right now. No way.
Yeah, you are.
No way. Okay, so round 1 in Group A, I think New York's going to take down Seattle. I think Gorillas going to lose versus London. I think Seattle's going to, Seattle's got Gorillas in the back pocket. So
is time up? Is it done?
I don't know. Done? I'm still thinking it's back pocket. I think the mentals are there. So I think New York's going to beat London for the winner match. Okay, London's going to fall, and then Seattle's going to beat them. I'm going to go New York, Seattle. So I'm switching it up. I'm not going with London. I don't know. Okay. I feel like in a matchup like that, they're both like middle of the pack. For some reason, I feel like Seattle might have a little bit of mojo going. They're bringing back Enable. If Enable's motivated and not going to be, I don't want to call him shit. He wasn't shit before, but I think he's going to be a lot better. That's the point I'm trying to say. So I'm going New York, Seattle.
I like it.
B is the toughie. I've been thinking about it. I was listening to your guys' points. I like the points. Chicago's in for me. I think they're just too good.
Yep.
I'm excited to see how Prestinni does. I think they might show a little bit of weakness, but I'm not going to put too much weight into any weakness that I see. They need a little bit of time. But I think Chicago's going to make it regardless. The Minnesota versus LA one. I'm putting my faith in Minnesota. I'm doing it. I think I'm going to pick them. I think they're going to come out with a better attitude. We've only seen that one time that Godorex hasn't been a god. I think he's going to get back to form. He's been so goddamn impressive. Alex has been as well. I feel like I got to give them another shot. But if they fail me in this one, I might be giving up on them straight up. I might be. I've been kind of like a Minnesota hater the whole season. Low key. Low key.
I see a world where I'm gonna
give it to him. I'm back.
I see a world where Optic or heck even Minnesota they beat Chicago in winners round 2, and then
I could see that.
Maybe we don't get a Chicago out of here.
I mean, potentially. I mean, the thing.
Minnesota and OGLA, Optic's getting better, and Minnesota is on their revenge tour.
Yeah.
It's a good point.
Chicago's not in a spot where
I just don't see
they're
Chicago
in a dominant form because they're so brand new
in this group.
You're
I
hoping
think
you're hoping
Chicago's
that
gonna lose
Chicago.
to freaking Florida twice, but they did. So.
Is it true? Yeah.
Oh, seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, you're hoping Chicago's running on the honeymoon phase right now.
Yeah. I'm banking on
That's
it.
what you're hoping. That's what I think what we're all banking on. And I feel like that's a fair assessment. You know what I'm saying? I feel like the issue with Chicago has been like shitty practice. And I feel like finally they're like uplifted. Their spirits are
They haven't had
uplifted.
like a lot
I'm
of
sure
time for
Scump's
practice,
in a happier mood. And we all know when the happy Scump equals lots of kills. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I think that's going to be a big thing for them. Like, that's why I wouldn't be like, if I was a Chicago fan and they came out of this event and did get smoked for some reason, I wouldn't be like, oh my God, it's the wrong movie. It was like, I wouldn't freak out because this game has a lot of shit that can go wrong when you're not on the same page.
Worry. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So like, I wouldn't be like surprised or like upset if that happened. And I wouldn't like come on the next podcast and be like, they are absolute idiots for making that move. You know what I'm saying? But like,
you would never say that anyways.
Well, yeah, but you know what I'm saying. Like, I wouldn't be like against it. It's just like they need some time to kind of get their shit together anyway. So I just think like we're kind of riding on the fact that they've been a team for a while and they've had success already, and hopefully like Prestinni can just add like a little bit of that vibe up there and just kind of get their game rolling where they should be fine. Because realistically, with their change too, it's kind of like the optic thing. Take Prestinni and Gunless out of the equation and look at the 4 players on that team.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they're still amazing. So it's like I just don't
Let's go
feel
back
like
to 4v4.
please. But yeah, no. So I think they're still fine. So I think they're just gonna ride that wave.
It really depends on like, let's say Chicago like makes it to the winter match, they lose. If they face like Minnesota in the qualifier match, I'm scared.
It's a little nerve-wracking, huh?
If they play OG, I'm not scared. Let's not pretend OG LA has some crazy teamwork and shit. Like, it's gonna be a slay fest.
That would just be a bloodbath.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm probably
Which
taking
would be
Chicago.
cool to watch.
That'd be a Hackney gun runner hardpoint.
No one's
that
thinking,
would be fun to watch.
No one's thinking. Everyone's just
sure.
fucking hitting each other over. And I probably give the edge to Chicago. Like, yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one, but it depends on the matchups. But I'm sticking with my picks: Chicago, Minnesota for B, New York, Seattle for A. That's what I'm sticking with. So a little bit
who wins the event?
So winner for the event. Fuck. You guys go.
Dude, I have no freaking idea.
I low-key want to pick New York.
I think New York is the favorite in my opinion. With the way they've been improving and getting better, I think their hardpoint is some of the best you've ever seen in the game right now. I think the thing that will stop New York from winning this event is if Chicago rides this honeymoon phase and actually heats up. So, like, we're all talking right now. We've never seen Chicago in tournament form with Prestinni. And we're all talking about what they can do if they're riding this honeymoon phase and if what they're going to do if they're kind of firing on all cylinders, right? If that Chicago comes to play this weekend, it's going to be a bloodbath. You know what I'm saying? But if that Chicago does not come to play, then I think New York takes this event. I think they are the clear-cut favorite if that Chicago does not show up. If that Chicago does show up, I can't wait to fucking watch it.
Yeah.
So you know what I'm saying? So like,
I feel like we're gonna know by like Saturday if Chicago's good.
That's what I'm saying. Like if like they're in rhythm. You know what I'm saying? So like that's my thing. So like I'm leaning towards New York, and I guess I'll pick New York. But yeah, if the Chicago that we want to see shows up,
you're picking New York.
Yes, and if if that Chicago shows up, then it's going to be a tough. You know what I'm saying? Then it's going to be a tough pick. And I want that though. I want that. I want that bloodbath.
It's such a guess.
It's a total guess. Yes, that's what I'm saying.
All right, Joe.
I just don't want to base my decision off a guess.
I might.
It's just so weird because even with like Chicago, who we thought was like on the like struggling a little bit, if they had Gunless, I think we'd all just sit here and probably say Chicago. I mean, just like based on it's just to me, this is Chicago's event to lose, and I'm gonna stick with it. I'm gonna pick Chicago. It's their event to lose, even with an improving New York. No one else on this team has closed. Nobody else in this tournament has closed. It is their issue. These guys don't have closers. Well, Seattle does. They just aren't good enough yet. So like
nothing to
that's
close.
Just it. Like the only other closer is Optic, right? Like that they have players that have won tournaments, and I agree. I think if we got an Optic versus Chicago, I would still give the benefit of the doubt to Chicago, just with their core four. We talked about it with Chino. Why should we say anything else about Chicago? So I'm gonna buy into the talent. I'm gonna buy into the Huntsmen.
Yeah.
Florida's not here. I'm going with them as the winner. It's a tough because like I like the New York argument. Heck, Optic was just in a final.
Yeah.
Minnesota, we've been waiting. If Minnesota wants to win an event, this is it. Like no BS. Like we said it last time about them. This is another opportunity for them.
Yep. Sort of like an open
and I'm not
door
picking them to get out of groups. So shit.
Yeah.
I'll go with Chicago.
I think if New York doesn't win this, I'm scared.
This is New York. New York needs to win this.
They have to win this, or else I'm scared for them. Like I think they're still gonna be good. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah.
But in terms of winning, if they don't win this,
they've been improving and improving and improving. Now it's time to do.
Let's not pretend like Chicago is weaker now than they're going to be in a month. It's just how it is.
In a week.
Yeah, right. Whatever time frame
that goes back to my point with why I think New York's slightly favored right now.
Yeah.
It's I don't think we're seeing the best Chicago right now.
They've been through the trials and tribulations with Mac the last couple of home series. That's what you're going with.
I'm picking Chicago. I think they weren't doing that badly before. They obviously felt strongly enough to take it. It is essentially a risk, even though their placements were good. I think
Chicago was never bad.
Yeah, either. Right. I feel like it was calculated, and I feel like the twin synergy is gonna be there, and I feel like they're gonna mesh. They're gonna mesh right away. Vibey Seth and formal T2P fucking vibing again a little bit. Magic happens when that's happened. So I'm picking Chicago.
I like it.
Mm-hmm. So there's our predictions. I'm gonna throw up the schedule. If you guys want to watch the tournament, it is on YouTube. Obviously, if you guys haven't been watching the other ones, then what are you doing? It starts on Friday. First matchup: Huntsmen Paris. Then following up
today.
Yeah, it starts today. It's such a late episode. Gorillas versus Royal Ravens. Optic Gaming Los Angeles versus The Rocker. Subliners versus Surge for the marquee matchup. That's going to do it for the episode, folks. Baldy wasn't here. Let us know in the comments if you missed him at all. You guys probably didn't miss him at all. He's just loud.
Just to let people know, we've just had some crazy streams. It's been happening a lot. We just weren't able to get all together. It's going to happen with the way streams have been. So we're trying.
We're not blaming Maven at all. We've all been having our crazy days individually. I put off a day. Joe put off a day. Streams are going well. If you guys are involved with our streams, thank you guys so much. For real. BTB, all of us are just going upwards as a unit. BTB is slowly but surely moving up in the streaming and the content world. And we thank you guys so much for supporting us day in and day out. Thanks for watching the episode, guys. We hope you enjoy CDL Seattle, and we'll see you for the next episode next week.